I, Vampire number 16, written by Joshua Hale Fialkov, art by Scott Clark, Fernando Blanco, and Zyman Kudransky. So last issue we left off with the good guys meeting up with Kane and the bad guys in the Van Helsing pocket dimension of their armory. This issue picks up with Kane basically giving his backstory to the good guys because they want to know how to beat Andrew. So he's like, yeah, I was walking through the desert. I came across this woman. She was like super weak and she was just crawling in the sand. She was very pretty. And I realized that just by instinct, I had to bite her. And she screamed out my name and I don't understand how she even knew that. But yeah, I went ahead and drank some of her blood. And then turns out they're all in a London pub just discussing this. And he's just like, that makes no sense. Why would you bite the first person you see? That literally doesn't make any sense. And Kane's like, hey, I don't know. I can't change my behavior. I don't know what to tell you. But that bite made her my bride, Lilith. And after a while, she came to again. She rose and she was like, where am I? And she realized that she was on the verge of death and she was given new life. She equates Kane to God himself. And Kane's like, no. I'm better than him because I love all my children. And they start making out again. And then we cut inside of the Van Helsing armory where everyone's just looking around, including the guy who was set to guard it, like the librarian before. I'm not even sure what his name is, but he's like, oh, God, you turned me into a vampire? I was part of the Van Helsings, man. Why you got to turn me into a vampire? He's like, well, you can test your luck if you want to go back out and talk to your new bosses. Don't think they're going to like you, though. Anyway, help us out finding what we need in here. And everyone else, don't touch anything. Meanwhile, Charles Thompson literally just picks up some random crap, and Andrew's like, dude, what did I just say? And at that point, Tig also goes to touch something, and it looks like it's just a big rock. But as she lays her hand on it, her hand literally just dissolves. And she's like, Tig, that's why I'm telling you guys not to touch something. But Andrew and the librarian realize what it is. They call it the rock that touched heaven, and it's going to open up a door to hell. And as they walk around a little bit, they accidentally activate a trap, and a whole bunch of monsters start coming out of the walls. So Kane is still continuing his story about how him and Lilith found a home or whatever. And we have, I'm blanking on her name, but the one vampire lady, she jumps in. She's like, oh my God, I do not have the time for this. We need to find a way to get Andrew back to normal. So if any of this relates, please go ahead and tell us. But for now, I'm stepping out. And so she walks out, and as she gets outside, she's trying to just get some air, and someone comes up and tries to talk to her, and she's like, oh, yeah, no, look, I'm not here to talk to any locals. But it turns out it's John Constantine. He's stepping up, and he has some words to share with her. So back inside the pocket dimension, all the monsters are attacking the vampires, and then the patchwork giant Van Helsing guy comes out of the book, and he's like, what are you guys doing in my book? And Andrew's just like, oh, yeah, it's this guy. Hey, anyone ever tell you have a really tiny head in comparison to your body? So the fight starts breaking out. The rock monsters attack the group. Thomas protects Tig because he sees her as kind of a girlfriend. And meanwhile, Andrew basically vaults over the big guy, tears off his head, and puts it onto the brick. And so it starts dissolving his head. And it turns out that this brick is from the Tower of Babel. So it actually has heavenly magic attributed to it because it touched heaven. So meanwhile, it's bothering me. I forget her name now. Mary. There it is. So Mary's talking to Constantine, and he's just like, you should have told me Andrew was back to evil. And it's like, well, we thought we could help him. You would just want to kill him. And it's like, no. The world needs Andrew Bennett. We just need him to be good. I would try to help him. And Constantine uses some magic to show the Van Helsing castle just completely annihilated and destroyed by Andrew. And she's like, how many vampires does he have? And Constantine just tells him 4. He has 4 vampires, and he managed to do this thing that you were unable to do with an army. He is so dangerous to be left bad. We need to get him turned back to good. So we see the vampires inside the dimension have all taken out. The monsters, they're all taken care of. And Tig comes across a locket that her father had when he was turned into a vampire, and it has a picture of her inside, and she's trying to figure out how they have it. But meanwhile, the librarian guy comes up with a plan in order to move the brick without their own bodies being attacked. So, cut back to Kane's story. Turns out that they had many children. They had a huge amount of vampire babies. And all of a sudden, one of them was killed by someone, an army, a cult of destroyers. And they were able to feel that. Lilith and Kane were able to feel their child dying. And Lilith's anger that someone killed one of her babies is the first time that they ever transformed into like their beast form. So at that point, Kane is like, yeah, we went out, we killed everyone that was a part of that cult, but the secret still spread. Like, people saw us even when we tried not to. And that's where the Van Helsing kind of group came from, the vampire hunters. And at that point, Constantine and Mary walk in and it's just like, yep, and Andrew just killed all of them. We know where they are. We got to go now. And Kane's like, don't you guys want to know how I was trapped? And they're like, no, we're done. Bye. And it seems that Kane still has some powers, despite being de-vampirized, because he disappears into a cloud of smoke. So back over to the vampires inside the dimension. They draw a magical circle and they say, okay, so this was built as a repository for Kane, so it should work that we should be able to trap the brick and move it however we need to. So everyone get inside this circle and we'll move the brick. And Tig comes to the realization that the Van Helsing group killed her father. Her father was out hunting vampires. He got turned, and then the Van Helsings killed him. So now she's got an extra grudge against them. And she's like, oh, I'm going to go back there. I'm going to slaughter every last one of them. And he's like, no, that's not the time. They didn't kill your dad. I know it because I saw it. The one who killed your dad was John Constantine. So let's go. And John is leading the group saying like, okay, we got to get there. It's a pocket dimension, the Van Helsing castle where they currently are. We got to get to them. And everyone's just asking, how do we get to a pocket dimension? And John reveals the House of Mystery, which is able to travel wherever he wills it to. But as he walks up to the doors, turns out they're locked. And all of a sudden they open from the inside. And Andrew's there. And it turns out this is how they're moving the brick, is via the House of Mystery. So Andrew's taking possession of the house, and now it's going to be an all-out battle between him and Constantine. I like it. I think it's good. I think it's a solid issue continuing the story. It gave Tig some realizations. We had Kane's backstory, and everyone was just bored by it. So it has the humorous bits in there as well. I can't fault this series for pretty much anything at all. The only thing I'll say is that this issue did feel a little bit light in terms of progression. So I am just going to give it I'll give it an 8. I would be an 8.5, but there were 3 artists on this book, and it was very obvious. One of them was in the flashbacks for Kane, so it stayed separate, but the transition between the other 2 artists was really noticeable, and it did kind of take me out for a second. So overall, did enjoy it. Really do like this book. I don't have to keep telling you that, though.